how's it going? It's Tim Brown. If you're considering Hook Agency or any SEO or digital marketing company, we know you have questions. You may even have concerns, but you can stop worrying because that's why we created this video. We want you to be informed. We also want you to be relaxed. So let's address these concerns, and by the end of this video, you'll likely have a much better understanding of the questions that have been on your mind. I want to talk to you about the time to result for SEO and PPC. So one thing people like about PPC is that it generally creates a result kind of quickly. Let's say this is the amount of results and this is the time. And let's do 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years. So basically what we see is it's quicker to get some results from PPC, and it generally can even out over time and maybe even go down if you're spending the same amount. That's because every lead will cost a little bit more money over time with PPC. And that's just because there's more competition, there's inflation, there's all kinds of factors there. Now SEO, so let's put PPC on here. SEO is something where it will start much lower because it takes time. SEO takes a lot of time. That's the most important ingredient with SEO is time. Let's say it goes up from here. We hit 1 year. There is starting to be some results here, right? There is starting to be leads, but it's not dramatic like you can with PPC quickly. But over time, it starts to go up, and maybe even after 1.5 years or 2 years, it starts to compound, like compounding interest. And you're reinvesting that interest, and you're spending the time creating content on your website that keeps on giving. That's the beautiful part about SEO. And so it could even surpass what you're getting from PPC, and then you can spend a little bit less if you want on PPC. Ultimately, I want to spend more because I want more and more leads. But here's the key. PPC, right now we're seeing leads from the $125 to $150 range. That's easy. Cost per lead. The math gets really simple at that point. That's the beautiful part about PPC. On the other hand, SEO, it keeps on giving long after you're done. So you could stop doing SEO like here, and honestly, it probably will still go up for a little bit, and then it might over time start to go down a little bit, but it's one of those things where it keeps on giving, and that's what people like so much about SEO. So PPC, the beauty is cost per lead and getting your math down. It's much easier to calculate cost per lead. Now, on the other hand, we have a client that's been doing SEO with us for about 1.5 years. And what we've seen is about 98% increase in leads from a year ago till today. And it's a pretty big roofing company, but ultimately our average client is around 60 or 70% the last 5 months as far as increase from search engine optimization. So just some data points here. If you think about $125 cost per lead, that you spend $5,000, you get about 40 leads. So it's a beautiful piece to be able to do easy math on PPC, but it's a wonderfully compounding thing to do search engine optimization. You've got content, it's giving long after you've published it. Thank you so much for watching this. I just wanted to give you a quick synopsis of how long it takes to get results with Hook Agency's search engine marketing services. Bye.
Yeah, all these roofers is hard.
Well, I know, I love roofers.
They're not very informed though.
No, I mean, they're getting more and more informed.
One of the main ways that you can tell if SEO is working, especially if you're paying somebody to optimize your website and you're like, hey, I kind of get marketing, but I want to make sure that what I'm investing in is actually paying off, is just to run a quick site audit on your site, not necessarily on the technical side of things, but really on a organic search marketing side of things. So we use a tool called Ahrefs. You can set up an account for free and do exactly what I'm doing here. Basically, all I do is I sign in, click over to their Site Explorer tool, and just enter my website. And what we have here is just a client that has been doing SEO with us for about 9 months. And things that I look for is I click on backlink profile here, just right underneath their overall performance. and I look at these referring domains and I watch for a noticeable increase. So right now we're looking at the all-time view, and that's not the most valuable thing to look at because it kind of like crunches the data down. I like to filter it out by 1 year and just see a general increase in referring domains like this, referring pages as well. And then really like the main thing that I look for is I switch over to the organic search side of things and look for both an increase in organic traffic here. That just means more people are visiting your website from search engines specifically. And I look at the organic keywords. And again, filter it by 1 year, and then down here you can actually go one step further and remove filter by first page keywords. And so this is just the number of search terms that are moving on to the first page of Google for this client. And that's kind of a way that you can just off the cuff be like, hey, is this working? Am I starting to see positive metrics based upon the SEO investment I'm making? So after you've been doing SEO for like a year and a half, really you should be beyond just organic traffic and keywords. You should be talking about leads and actual ROI on marketing spend. And the way we do that at Hook Agency is just really simply with a spreadsheet pulled in from our tracking software with a name, phone number, email address, and ultimately like revenue that came in. So this is one of our clients here. Obviously you get way more leads than you do closed business, but we just got name, where they came from, phone number, phone call came from organic, and then revenue that came from that closed deal. So that's really what you should be looking for. There's no way, unless you have it integrated into a CRM, which is expensive to do, to track that. So you should be expecting that from any SEO company that you'd be working with. You say you've been doing it for like 3 years. What does continued success look like? And how do you know if that relationship or that engagement is still value producing for you? And really the two things to look for is just continuing to double down on the things that are getting results. So primarily focusing, if you're a local service company, on location-based pages and search terms, as well as not forgetting the basic things like continuing to push for more aggressive and more competitive search terms, blog posts, and seeing just a continued increase in organic traffic along with that increase in leads. So I look specifically for at least a 15 to 25% increase in organic leads year over year. If you're like a contractor or something like that, storms and whatnot are going to play into it. And then on the flip side of things, let's say a relationship isn't working out, or you're like, what does failure look like in terms of an SEO company working with you? And really, it's just continuing to not get results over a period of time without having a specific action plan that's going to change that. SEO does take time, so don't feel wary if someone's saying, hey, this takes a little bit of time, and this is what I'm doing to improve or increase the trajectory at which we're moving. That's very typical, but if that's a story you've been hearing for well over a year and there's little to no metrics like we've been talking about showing that, hey, it's moving in the right direction, it might be time to move on to a different SEO company. Those are really the things that I look for. That being said, we've definitely been in the position where we're like 9, 10, 11 months in, and performance isn't coming as fast as we want, but those leading indicators, hey, we're starting to see an increase in these keywords. These referring domains are increasing. There's more authority being built up for the site. We're starting to see these specific cities ranking for your service area. Granted, we may not be like all the way on page 1 yet, but we're moving in that direction. Those are good things, and if a company can't point to that, especially like nearing a year in, that's definitely a red flag. My name's Cody. I'm the lead SEO specialist at Hook Agency. I really hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching.
Work we do, we can find a lot of consistencies, and so it means we can find what works well for a roofer or a plumber or another home service provider.
What would you say is like one example of something that you can kind of pull from? Obviously all these companies are in different locations with different service areas, but like what's one example of something that you can kind of knowledge share?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, there's different levels of competition, different audiences in each market. But one thing we can find really consistently is how to win for a roofer looks very different than how to win for an e-commerce or a sales company or whatever they might be. So knowing what winning looks like for a roofer or home service provider is very consistent depending on, regardless of where they are. So knowing what a Google Ads success for a roofer looks like, knowing what a good website design for a roofer looks like, knowing what good SEO looks like for roofers, that's all pretty consistent regardless of where they are.
I also think like being able to understand ideal customers is helpful, and a lot of our clientele is focused on homeowners, and I feel like that's really different than a lot of other types of, like how you mentioned, e-commerce, and it's just different target audiences. So I feel like that's a good thing to be able to know, is how do we speak directly to homeowners? And I'm sure that that's really helpful on the PPC side as well, of like, what does an ad look like for a homeowner?
Yeah, I think it comes down to like the nitty gritty details, like material types and flat versus residential, or like low slope versus high slope. All of those like industry terms that the general population doesn't really know what those things are. We're working with roofers so consistently that if someone tells me they do EPDM roof restoration, I know exactly what that is. And I can already think about Google Ads campaigns that we can start building around those things. Whereas a non-niched agency or marketing partner
They
is
don't
going
have to teach us that.
Yeah, they're going to have to really research that and figure out what is the difference between EPDM and PVC or GAF and Owens Corning. They just don't know those things. Who are the types of contractors we don't work with? I know right off the top of my head, we want people that are hungry to grow. So if you don't want to grow, we don't want to work with you.
Our ideal client has done some marketing in the past, right? Like not that they've run Google Ads on their own, or even that they've run Google Ads at all, but they have been trying. They've been doing some marketing. They want to grow. I think that's exactly like the right type of person that we like to work with, because, your process is built around getting more leads, closing more business, and helping businesses grow. So our ideal clients are on WordPress, or they want us to build them a new website on WordPress. They are over $2 million in revenue, have been doing some marketing for a while. Usually it's not somebody's first website that we're building. Someone that's going to be respectful to our team and respectful to our process, because we have built out this process. We know what works. We don't understand your business as well as you do, but we take that into consideration with our knowledge, and just someone that respects our process and the fact that we are the marketing experts, right? As we've mentioned, there's a lot of good things with being niched and working with a lot of people within the same industry and working with a lot of roofers. How do you make sure that their account is different from another's? Like, how do you make sure that their ads are different from somebody else's ads?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the question that we could probably ask roofers and business owners. How is your roofing business different than your competitors? And that's why we do an extensive kickoff process. We really learn in depth what does make your business different, and then we can take that and apply that to the somewhat formulaic approach that we have to working with contractors and making a Google Ads account or a website, and then add that really custom twist that is the same as whatever makes that roofing company or that plumber different.
Okay, so you're not taking a template and just writing you have the same ad copy, you're switching out the name, you're switching out the service. Everything is completely unique and custom.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, we know what works, and then we take what makes that client unique and apply that to what works to make it its own original unique thing.
Awesome.
How do we make content different for every client when it's the same subject matter across the board? For example, we have a lot of roofing clients, so we're writing similar blog posts, not the same, but similar topics for different clients. And so our team, it's our job to make it unique, interesting, different. And how do we do that? Well, we have pretty solid processes that we all utilize. We have a small team of writers. It's second nature to us to write this kind of content. So with that base, do creative formatting. We do different takes. We follow this hookified element checklist that we have. It goes over formatting, emotional hook points, spicy takes. What is something that this client specifically is maybe doing that is something that another client doesn't do? And we know that because when our clients come on board, we have a face-to-face conversation with them, and we get all this information, and it helps us kind of land their tone of voice, get into their heads, so it allows us to write similar content, but from their perspective. For example, maybe one client, they do a roof maintenance plan. So we always incorporate that, or we give tips to homeowners, or we include emojis in there, or we include different YouTube videos, or we include infographics that we make. The writers make infographics. So there's all these things that we do to make everything unique. So one way that we ensure everything is unique but better between all these clients is, first of all, we start with a keyword that is slightly different for most clients. So it may be, roof replacement tips or roof replacement guide or things like that. So we actually go and we Google it and we look at what the results are on that first page on Google. We take a look, we actually open all these top results and we see kind of what they're doing as far as formatting, the kind of information they're including, and we level it up. So we match it to kind of the techniques and the take that we use to write our content, and we make it better. So we're like combining all this information. We never copy and paste or anything like that, but we're getting inspiration by what is working and putting it in, kind of planting a seed and starting the piece by, okay, what is working and what else could we add that is going to bring that a level above the rest. I'm Casey, the lead content strategist at Hook Agency. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the lead designer here at Hook Agency, and I'm here to talk about 3 ways we help you make money through your website. We've actually worked on a lot of websites that we didn't build ourselves, and they're clunky and they're ugly, and we just really want to revamp everyone's website so that they make money and they get more leads. First off, here at Hook, our SEO team is great, and they actually get people to your website, but once they get there, we want them to stay. We want them to linger. We want them to understand what your company's about, and then we want them to fill out a form or make a phone call to you. Our whole design process keeps everything very persuasive, very driven. We've got clear call to action so that people know where they can go to get in touch, but they can also stay and learn more about you. Second, here at Hook, we really like to push trust on our website. That comes in the form of Google reviews. People can learn about your past projects that way. They learn what you're all about, what your process is like, what your customer service is like. Another way that we push trust is we like to show photos of you working on sites, your owner, your CEO, your team. People want to trust and know who they're going to work with. These days, everyone's very tech savvy. They're very aware of how the internet functions, and they know when they're being scammed or when someone is being fake, or they're just using kind of a cookie cutter template with just so much content that nobody really wants to read. Yes, some of that works for SEO, but in the long run, you want to get in touch with a human being, and they want to call you. You want to persuade them rather than persuading Google so you can show up higher. Once they're on the site, they want to trust you, and that comes again. Google reviews, badges and logos, those really push people a lot to know what you're certified in, if you've won any awards, and then again, they just want to put a face to who they're going to work with. A third way we help make you money here at Hook with your website is that we actually take care of your website. We have a whole team that's dedicated to figuring out any problems that happen, whether it's a form breaks or something on your website and you're not capturing leads. So we're on it if any problems happen. So again, we're saving you money, we're saving you time, and saving you the headache in the long run. Thanks so much. Feel free to check out our web design examples. It's under the services tab on hookagency.com, and we'd hope to work with you someday.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and I want to answer the question, why are you more expensive than other companies? It's a valid question, but I want to do it in detail in this video so that you understand. I am just constantly always trying to increase the quality of our services. And I'm also trying to find that balance between quality and being overly expensive for what it is. That being said, there are a lot of reasons that people can offer stuff much cheaper than us, and not all of them are things that you're going to want to purchase. So one of those things is outsourcing. I outsourced at the beginning of our agency, but now I have everything that is critical for our client's success in-house. I've got 3 designers, 3 developers, 3 writers, 3 SEOs, 3 PPCs. I've got a lot of people in-house in our office here in icy cold Minnesota, and those people are expensive. And I'm trying to keep our best employees around. So that's one thing. we are not outsourcing critical components of your marketing. 2, cutting corners. So examples I've seen of agencies doing things that is obviously very cheap. They're basically copying, pasting the same content onto different websites for clients that they have. We've looked at it. You can look at your website's copy through copyscape.com and look to see if there's other people with the same copy, which is not very good for your SEO. It's much less likely that your page is going to rank. Another example of cutting corners is reutilizing the same design over and over and over again. It's not a big deal if it was modified heavily, for instance. I mean, we do a lot of the same things in our designs, but I'm talking about straight up the exact same design time after time. That's something we don't believe is effective, and we believe people will just look at your company as a commodity. If you have a commodity website that looks the same as all your competitors, then how are you going to price yourselves differently and more expensive potentially for the quality that you're trying to provide? And the third one that I see is people can make themselves very cheap if they have a lack of real deliverables. There's no problem at all pricing yourself $2,000 or $1,000 a month for SEO if you're not really doing anything. So you really have to look at what are they doing specifically as far as deliverables. So an example might be they just send you an automatic audit every month. You don't have a report. You don't learn about what you did. There's no documentation of what progress has been made. So we document all of our work every month, and this is time intensive and expensive a bit. And that's why we know that we don't necessarily always get to work with super early entrepreneurs. And yes, I do miss when I was early in my business and I was able to work with people that are just starting, and it feels good. I like that. But we've had to price ourselves out of that as our clients have demanded higher quality. Our clients have asked us, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And we oblige, and we're excited to improve the quality of our service over time, and we're constantly trying to do that. So I'm not trying to be the cheapest. I know I'm not going to get to work with those early entrepreneurs that I do like working with, but at this point we're trying to be the highest quality provider, and we're trying to do something that is the best at what we do in the industry we do it in. So we're trying to be the best at search engine optimization in roofing and other contractors. We're trying to be the best at web design. You look at our websites, they're clearly different than our competitors' websites. You look at our websites, they're clearly focused on roofing and other contractors. We know what works, and we're going to continue to get better and better in this tight niche, and that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the person who knows how to do it in your industry and doesn't copy and paste, doesn't reuse the same designs. We're doing everything custom. We're actually doing real deliverables on SEO, and we're not outsourcing all of the work. And we really believe in craftsmanship in marketing, and we understand we won't be the right fit for everybody. But ultimately, I just wanted to give you clarity on what makes this a little bit more expensive, and some people want to pay for that and some people don't. I totally get it, and I hope this has been useful for you as you're making your decision about a marketing partner. Bye.
All right, so we're just going to give you a quick look into what a regular report looks like at Hook Agency. So typically we kick it off and we just like to have a very candid conversation about how the last month has been going. We're going to talk casually at first about leads, how lead flow has been, lead quality. We're going to talk about performance and just anything interesting that's been going on in your world. Maybe you got hit by a storm. Maybe things are feeling a little bit slow, or you're slammed. That's all valuable information for us to have. So after the first couple of minutes, really what we do is we're just going to transition into a very structured report at first. One thing to note is we really like to kind of keep these reports with a very clear path, but we can kind of diverge as we need to based upon your needs. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you get a good look into what we're actually going to be able to see here. While we have a structure, we want to cater this to your needs. So I always say this, I'm going to hit top level metrics. If you have questions, ask for further detail, and I'll go ahead and dive further in on those details. So what you're looking at here is just our standard report, a standard SEO dashboard. And we always kick off the beginning of the conversation with organic leads. Now, this really becomes more relevant after about 9 months of doing SEO, especially after you get through the first 2 months of onboarding. That's kind of when we transition into more of this usual dashboard report. But we kick it off with organic leads, and we like to talk about, hey, how many first-time phone calls and first-time form submissions did you get from search engines in the last month? As you can see here, this client's doing particularly well. We like to tie back to a percentage increase. That's how we benchmark our progress, and really the way that we gauge success in our relationships. That kind of naturally translates into organic traffic. Again, once we're talking about leads, organic traffic is somewhat of a glamour metric, but it does indicate general site health. So there's a lot of other metrics that are in here. We don't always hit on every single one of these because, to be honest, beyond leads and like core organic traffic and keyword increase, they're just indicators of general site health. But really, the meat and potatoes of all of this is the organic prospects that we list out down here. It's just name, address, phone number of people who got in touch with you. But after covering the SEO metrics, it's like percentage increases and whatnot, we really pivot over into talking about deliverables, the work that's being done on your website every single month to ultimately get these results. So initially, after onboarding, it's a lot of local directory listings, getting links from local businesses, building out a content calendar, and writing blog content that's really catered specifically for you to get you ranking on Google for the search terms that are going to make you money, namely like roofing in or whatever your primary service is in whatever city that you're providing it. So roofing contractor in Minneapolis, etc. Yep. So as you can see here, this is really what we've got going on. So this is just an example of some of the blog content. How much does spray foam insulation cost? How much does a metal roof cost in 2022? 2 1,500-word posts for this client this month. We earned a guest post from Texas Patio Builder back to their Pergola Ideas blog post, just helping build site authority, and then also some on-page optimization, just detailing out very specific changes that we're making to the client site on a given month. And all of this just lives inside of a Drive folder, so you can go back and view the deliverables from any given month all the way back to whenever it is that you kicked off. So we're a deliverables focused company. And that's what an SEO report looks like at Hook Agency.
So if you're also doing Google Ads with us, you would get to meet with another strategist, a PPC strategist, and we would walk you through a report as well. A lot of what the lead SEO Cody was mentioning, we're talking and focusing on conversions and leads, even more so because we want to know that you're getting a good ROI on Google Ads. We want to talk a lot about the leads. How much money did you make this last month from these leads so that we can make sure, again, that you're getting a positive ROI on your Google Ads spend. So I'll share my screen here as well, and we'll look at what a Google Ads report will look like. So right here, we can see that we do our reporting actually directly within Google Ads. So we're pulling data right from our account. We have a little dashboard tool within Google Ads that will allow us to pull, again, data directly from this. And we're going to go through a few different things. So we're going to look at an account overview. We can see that at the top here, where it's going to go across all of our campaigns. We're going to just get top level metrics on how much money are we spending, how much traffic have we gotten, how many clicks have we received, impressions, so on and so forth. We're going to talk, like they mentioned in SEO, we're going to talk about these numbers and refer to them somewhat as glamour metrics because they are important, they are health gauges, but the thing that we care about the most, especially on the paid ad side, is the quality and the quantity of leads. So as we can see here, we've got some of those metrics I mentioned. Because we have such an emphasis on leads, we may even pull out some of the names that of the people that have filled out forms and made in calls. And we might talk you through, hey, how did Sarah Stolzman turn out? Did she turn into a signed deal or did it not work? And we want to know why. So for example, if we found that Sarah Stolzman didn't close and I would talk to you and say, oh, what was the conversation with Sarah like? And you would tell me, well, she was a window shopper. She ghosted me after the first form submission, or or she was actually looking for a different roofing company or something along those lines. That'll inform my strategy. Hey, maybe I need to go look at the keywords, look at the search terms, add in negative keywords. Basically, any insight I get from my clients, I can take that and optimize the account with that. So as we go further into the report, we're going to kind of dive deeper into, we looked at overall metrics at the top, and then we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into each campaign. We're going to look at some of those similar metrics, how each campaign is individually performing. We'll discuss, again, phone calls that came from the branded campaign versus your repair campaign versus your gutters, etc. So then we'll kind of drill down a little bit, and then we'll get into keyword performance. We'll take a look at what are the top money-making keywords that we have in your account. We'll identify and talk through any issues that you've had with a flow of phone calls that you're getting consistently about one thing that you don't want to get phone calls for. If that's ever an issue, we'll talk through those, identify the source of that, and eliminate it so that we're spending money on good things in the future. As we continue down, we'll talk a little bit about competition. We'll see how we're doing as an advertiser compared to the other people spending money in your market on similar terms. And so we'll look at different metrics like our impression share, or basically our market share, how frequently our ads are showing at the top of the page. We can see this client is doing particularly well. They're showing up more than anyone else in the market, and they're showing up at the top of the page 80% of the time. Those are some really good metrics that we'll talk through. Again, not the end all be all, but they're good health gauges for knowing that leads will follow if certain checks are in place. One of the last things that we'll go through is we'll take a look at our location report. So we'll see, where are we getting traffic? Is it in our proper areas? Are we targeting our service areas? Are there areas that we need to remove or increase bidding in? Things like that, because of course, drive time and quality of leads can vary depending on different spots within your service area. So we want to talk about those things. The last thing we'll do, we'll take a further dive into your leads. So we'll use our tool CallRail, and we can actually listen to all the recorded calls if we want to. So I like to take a look at these calls beforehand and get a little bit of a summary and find out even more names that, hey, I listened to this call. It sounded like they scheduled an appointment. How did that appointment go? And we'll talk about those things. The very last thing that we'll do is we'll do a check on your PPC Protect account, which is our click fraud software. So we're basically getting a health gauge on how much of our traffic is valid traffic, making sure in a nutshell that we're spending our money appropriately. So we can see for this specific client, 7% of their traffic is very legitimate, healthy traffic, and less than a total of 3% is coming from either suspicious or invalid sources. This is a super good example of a really healthy account. Click fraud happens. The worst thing we can do is bury our head in the sand and pretend like it doesn't. So we use this software to protect our clients from click fraud continuing to happen and wasting ad spend. After that, again, we're just going to kind of wrap up on talking about the quality of leads and focus on any emphases for the next 30 days. Is there a new campaign that we want to go after? Is there a new service? How's our budget looking? And more than anything, we just want our reports to be extremely transparent. And if there's areas for improvement, we at Hook Agency are going to tell you, hey, here's some areas for improvement, and this is what we're going to do the next 30 days. And on the other side, when things are going really well, you'll see myself or other strategists on the call hooting and hollering with you and celebrating the leads and the success that we've gotten. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, my name is Vinny. I would be stoked to get the chance to talk to you in the future.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this. My name's Cody. I'm the lead SEO specialist at Hook Agency, and I would love the opportunity to have a conversation with you and answer any questions that you may have. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day.